Well, good morning, everybody. Welcome to AlphaBiolabs breakfast webinar entitled How to Effectively Monitor Alcohol Consumption. Thanks very much for joining us this morning. It's great to have so many of you on the webinar. By way of introduction, my name's Andrew Priestley and I'm the marketing manager for the legal sector here at AlphaBiolabs. And I'm joined this morning by my colleague, Ashley Hodgkinson. Ashley is our sample collections manager. With regard to the agenda, we will keep it to within the 30 minutes this morning. Conscious that you have busy days ahead of you, so we will do that. We will start. I will set the scene really by just talking about how you should consider alcohol monitoring. Then, with Ashley, we will discover the latest enhancements to the Scram Cam ankle bracelet service. We're then going to find out more about the benefits of Smart Mobile. And also, as well as looking at how both solutions can work independently of each other, we'll also look at how they can actually be used with the same client as part of a scaled monitoring program. We'll then conclude the webinar with a Q&A session, as we always do with these webinars. So as we're using the Zoom functionality this morning, you will see that you've got access to the Q&A function. So please do use that throughout the 30 minutes to ask any questions that you might have. We will do our best to answer as many questions as we can live, but what we will also do is tomorrow we'll send you an email with a recording of the webinar, and we'll also have answers to any questions that you asked this morning. So please feel free to ask as many questions as you want. We'll also issue some optional polls during the webinar, and there's also a post-webinar survey. Again, would appreciate if you're all happy to participate in that. The more feedback we get, the better for us. So that would be fantastic if you can all contribute. Okay, so just to set the scene really, so why should you consider alcohol monitoring? Well, alcohol monitoring allows for the measurement of your client's ongoing alcohol consumption. So this is all about the now and the future. So a lot of you will have used ourselves, AlphaBiolabs, for testing services. When we're testing for alcohol, we're looking at historical alcohol consumption. So that's where we take a sample of head or body hair or nails or indeed blood, and we're looking back over a period of time. So this really complements that in terms of we're looking, it's ongoing monitoring, it's monitoring of alcohol consumption in real time. So it can be used to complement court-approved reports on alcohol testing for historical consumption. And you'll see from the webinar this morning, it is absolutely proven to be successful for ensuring that clients refrain from drinking completely or only at certain agreed times. It can also be used at the pre-proceeding stage. So even before you get considering a court case, it can be used effectively with a particular client to manage their drinking habits. So if you're a social worker, for example, it's absolutely something to consider at the pre-proceeding stage. And above all, it's proven it does make parenting time safer. So you'll see today for both solutions how that can work. So it is effective. When it is used, it ensures that when your client are with their children, it makes that time safer. They're very less likely to be drinking either prior to or during that time. So hopefully that set the scene for you. I'm now going to launch an opening poll. This is all about the Scram ankle bracelet. It's just really to gauge the sort of general awareness amongst the audience this morning in terms of Scram. So I'm just going to launch that now. There's 3 short questions. So you should see that on your screen now. If you could kindly answer the questions to that, that would be great. I'll just give you a few moments to do that. There's lots of responses coming through. That's great. Okay, I think we're almost there. I think just about everybody's answered that. Just give you a few more seconds. Okay, I'm going to end that now. Thank you very much for that. I'm just going to share the results with you. So we can see, so the first question is, have you previously heard of the Scram ankle bracelet? And 92% of you have heard of it, which is great. So lots of really good awareness there. Of those that have heard of it, have you used the product with a client? It's probably about 50, about half of you have indeed used it with a client. And then question 3, if you have used it with a client, would you use it again? And looking at that, every single one of you has said you would use it again. So there's obviously a lot of advocacy for this solution already, which is great. Thanks very much for contributing to that. I'm going to stop sharing the results now. There we go. So what I'm going to do now, I'm going to hand over to Ashley, and she's going to talk in a lot more detail about how Scram works. Ashley.
Hello, good morning. So I'm just going to speak not in too much detail about how the bracelet works itself, because as I can see from the poll, a lot of you have used it before. But like Andrew was saying, how that can complement a joint program, either be that previous hair testing or alongside a smart mobile case. So a little bit of background on how it works. Most of you will know, if you've used it previously, that it is an ankle monitoring bracelet. So it goes around a client's ankle, just as you can see in the picture there. And it monitors their alcohol intake, usually for between 1 and 120 days. That tends to be the typical time frame that people have these bracelets on for. You can wear them for longer, so you can wear them for a year, for 2 years, however long you think is suitable for that client. We can facilitate that, but usually these are used either to promote a reduction of drinking or to understand someone's drinking habits if they're not trying to become sober. And we'll touch on that in a moment. It's going to take a reading from your client every 30 minutes, and then it will monitor 24 hours a day. So you're going to see a reading every 30 minutes for however long your client is on this program for. All of that information is fed back to us, and then we will contact you to advise you of the results at a time frame to suit yourselves. And that's something that you would select when you set up a case with us. So you would say how often you wanted to be notified in a report form about your client's drinking habits. So we're building up a profile, and we understand the importance of notifying you depending on the program type when a client drinks. So this is something that we would be in touch with you regularly about. So every time we get notification of a drinking event, within 24 hours of us being notified, we will feed that back to you. So you're up to date in real time with where your client is at. If they are trying to abstain, this can prove really useful, especially if they have their children placed with them, which is usually the reason for this type of testing. So you can be up to date with it. And then you may choose that, as long as you're being notified when they are having a drinking event, that comprehensive report only comes, say, once a month. So every month you'll get that full breakdown, all of your readings, details about any events, but you also still get that 24-hour notification throughout the monitoring period. It's going to register as little as 1 to 2 units. So it is looking at everything that client does, and it also will look for any tamper events. So if the client removes the bracelet for any reason, or we have had cases where they've tried to wedge something between the bracelet and their ankle to stop the readings being taken. It's a very intelligent piece of kit, and it knows that that's what's happened. So we would notify you of any of those. We would obviously liaise directly with your client if that is a suitable approach, and just double check that it was nothing like, say, a sock that had gone between the bracelet and it wasn't anything that they didn't intentionally put there. So we do contact them a lot as well. It doesn't all have to go through yourselves if that's easier, and they are compliant, but we will make you aware of any contact that we have with them. So how do we get this information? It goes onto the bracelet stores it, has a memory, but how does it get to us? So you may have heard, if you've been to these webinars previously, or if you have inquired about a Scram case, that we talk about something called a base station. So it looks a little bit like this, a bit like a Wi-Fi router, and it just gets plugged in the home of the person wearing the bracelet. This then extracts all of the information from the bracelet as the readings are being taken and feeds it back to us via a SIM card inside of the base station. So you don't need Wi-Fi connectivity or anything like that. It works off a SIM card inside of this, and that's what feeds the information back to us. In some cases, we understand that it isn't possible to fit a base station in the client's home. It may be that they're of no fixed abode, or that they visit there irregularly, so they might live somewhere else and then visit that property every so often. So you don't have to have a base station, but we do have to make you aware that without one, we would only see the readings once we visit your client or they visit us in a walk-in clinic, and then we can do a download of any data stored within the bracelet. Same with it if someone's electricity goes off, or if they go away for a week and they're not near the base station, the bracelet will still retain all of the readings, so we don't lose anything. And then it'll either reconnect with the base station when they get home, or we can go out and visit them and extract the data. So if you did have a client that wanted to come to us for the bracelet fitting or wanted it done at your offices, that is possible. It just means that they wouldn't have the base station, and therefore we would need to just pop in and visit them when we wanted to extract that data. So we would advise, if you are going to use it, particularly this time of year, when people may be using them to have placement with their children, we find a lot of those types of cases around this time of year where you would like to place the children back at home with the parents, but you do have concerns. If they do have a Scram bracelet on, we would always advise that they have a base station fitted with it. It's no additional cost, it's included in the price, but it just means that we can see it at all times and we get to know about the readings as soon as they happen. Like I was saying on the previous slide, most people do use these cases to try and enforce that sobriety. So for people who are trying to reduce and then abstain, but they can also be used to monitor people's drinking. So if you do have someone who has custody of the children on certain days, you can use this to ensure that they're not drinking on the days where the children would be in their care. So it's got a lot of functions. Like we've just spoken about, they're all the readings are transferred to an online portal that we view, and then we will feed that back with you. And your client wouldn't need home internet. We can connect it if they do have it, but it does also have a SIM card inside of it, so it's not a necessity that they have that. This is a brief look at the report from a Scram bracelet. So you would get your initial cover page, which is on the far left, which is a summary. So for this particular client, they had 14 alcohol drinking events, and you can see that mirrored by that dark black line there. That's their transdermal alcohol concentration reading. And then they had no tamper events, so they kept the bracelet on the whole time. If you do have any alcohol consumption events or any tamper events, you will get additional pages throughout the report, which look like this one in the middle, and they break down each drinking event. They tell you what time the drinking event started, and then how long it took for that client to metabolize the alcohol and reach a level of 0 again. And then on the back page, which you'll get regardless of the results, you will get your daily summary, which shows you that readings were taken on what dates. And then if there are any confirmed alerts, there is a little description of that as well, with the date and time that they happened on. So when might you use a Scram bracelet over another form of testing? So this is what Andrew spoke about before. This is where you want to see someone's ongoing alcohol consumption. So we're not concerned about what they've done in the past with this type of monitoring. If we were concerned about previous use, we would be looking at her testing. This would be going forward, so what they're drinking now and ongoing monitoring. Like I say, it's not just for people who are trying to be sober or abstain from drink, although it is definitely beneficial for those cases. It can also be used if someone has custody of their children on certain days, or if they're trying to show the patterns and trends of drinking, if you're wanting to understand people's habits in order to find a suitable program for them. Scram is perfect for that. You'll see any times they drink, what times of day they drink, particular days, and you can start to build up that picture in order to assist them going forward on a program that would suit them based on their drinking habits.
That's great. Thanks, Ashley. So just to sort of summarize with Scram there, I've just listed here some of the benefits of using Scram with AlphaBiolabs. So in terms of reporting, we can offer a range of frequencies with the reporting. So it could be as frequently as weekly or fortnightly or just monthly if you prefer. Whichever frequency you choose, there's no additional cost involved in that. So again, we try to be as flexible as we can with your reporting needs. Ashley also mentioned that one other thing we do that maybe others don't is additional notification of any alcohol consumption within 24 hours of the event being identified. So that's not necessarily when the drinking event might happen. It's within 24 hours of us, our team, recognizing that through the reporting system. So it could be, for example, that there was a drinking episode on a Friday evening. Our team would then pick that up on the Monday morning. Then within that 24-hour period, once we've double checked everything, we would notify you of that specific drinking episode. You'd get a dedicated account manager to deal with all your inquiries and produce your reports. That's one point of contact for any issues or any information that you require whilst you have that Scram bracelet with your client. Everything's legal aid agency approved, so you can apply for legal aid for any of these type of cases. We also offer a simple pricing structure with monthly invoice, and our sales team, if you were interested in the quote, can explain that to you. We also, as Ashley mentioned, it's professional fitting and removal of the bracelet. We will always aim to do that within 3 days of making contact with the wearer. So I was conscious sometimes you'd be keen for us to fit the bracelet sooner rather than later. That's our sort of promise, really, is once we've made contact, we will fit that and remove it within 3 days. And the stats don't lie, really. So more than 99%, really, as a rule, of Scram wearers remain completely sober and compliant while wearing the device. That's a stat provided by the manufacturer of the product based on extensive research. It does work. So I just wanted to really summarize with that point, really. It is something to absolutely consider. Okay, so we're just going to move on, just conscious of time. So that was Scram. We're now going to talk about an alternative solution called Smart Mobile. So just to set the scene for that, I'm just going to launch a second poll. It's the same questions as for the first poll, but it applies to Smart Mobile. So if you could kindly answer the 3 questions that you should see on your screen now. Just want to gauge the sort of general awareness with Smart Mobile amongst you. So I'll just give you a few moments to do that. Okay, lots of responses coming in. I think everybody's answered that now. So I'm just going to end the poll there. Thank you very much for contributing to that. I'm going to share the results with you. Quite a different picture for Smart Mobile, as I would expect. Just 10% of you have actually heard of the solution. And of those 10%, I think it's just one person in the audience has actually used it with a client. So in terms of sort of general awareness and usage, as I would expect, Smart Mobile is not as well used or known as Scram. That's probably, I mean, from our point of view, it's a relatively new solution that we're offering compared to Scram. And I think across the UK, we're the only provider of this solution. So it'd be great. The next 10 minutes, we'll talk in more detail about that, and hopefully you'll go away knowing a lot more about it. So I'm just going to stop sharing the screen. Thank you for that. And I'm going to move on to the next slide. That's all right. Okay. Great. Back to Ashley.
So we're going to talk now about Smart Mobile, how Smart Mobile works. And then we'll look at the differences between Scram and Smart Mobile and see how they suit different people. So to be completely clear from the beginning, Smart Mobile will only work if the client is actively engaging with the testing. So if they are on board and they are willing to provide the sample, they have to actively take it out of the case and blow into it. So it's not like Scram where it's attached to the ankle and they don't need to do anything with it. This is more for clients who you don't need to monitor 24/7. They're on board with the program and they are willing to provide a sample at specific times as agreed with them prior to the testing program starting. So Smart Mobile is a breathalyzer device. So it's testing your breath for any alcohol in the here and now. At the time of the sample being provided, it takes a photograph of the person giving the sample, and that is uploaded onto our portal. And there we can access the results and also demonstrate the photograph of who gave the sample. In previous times, breathalyzer testing has only worked if a trained professional has come out with the device and collected the sample, and that's to maintain that chain of custody so we can be sure that the person who is supposed to be tested is the person that provides the sample. With Smart Mobile, it eradicates the need for someone to be going out and administering this test. The client can do it themselves in their own home, at times agreed with you, and be able to provide that sample and us be confident that the correct person blew into the device. So it's a great piece of technology where the client isn't necessarily needing to be monitored 24/7 and is engaging with the testing program. The device can be customized, so it's down to suit yourselves and your client and the client's testing needs. When we set up a case for a Smart Mobile, we will ask you what you're looking to establish from the testing, what results you're looking to obtain, if there's a particular reason why you're opting for this program. So it may be that your client has contact with their children, for instance, on a Tuesday and a Thursday, and that they are free to drink at other times, but they must demonstrate that they have no alcohol in the system before the contact session. We can then customize this device to only require a test on a Tuesday or a Thursday before contact takes place. Now, even though the device will then be out with the client, we can always update this testing schedule to suit your needs. So if you do find that contact changes, or maybe contact's going well and an additional session has been added to the program, we can accommodate that with the Smart Mobile. So we can update that remotely and then have that new testing program uploaded so that additional tests can be taken. You can schedule them to suit you. You can also do them at random. So we can get the device to trigger at random, different days, different times, and request that a breath sample is provided. Or you can do on-demand testing where you would contact your client and you can request that they do a sample there and then. That might be useful if you maybe had some suspicions that they were drinking to excess outside of certain timeframes, but we would agree all of this up front with you and explain your options for the testing program. We can see all the results as they're being provided, similarly to Scram, so we can update you on those. And it's very discreet. It just comes in a little case that they can carry around with them or put away until the testing times are required. Like I said, it's going to take a photograph of them at the time that the test is given, that the sample's given, sorry. So it will take a photograph of them then, and that will be uploaded onto the portal, and then we will build that into the report as and when you require them. It also has the option of GPS tracking. So if you did have a client who was maybe moving around a little bit and you were concerned about the device going missing, we can enable that option on the device so that if they did misplace it, we could track it down at the end of the monitoring period. But the idea is that they keep it with them at all times, and then they can provide the sample as and when required. When a sample is required, the instrument just simply beeps and they have a 15-minute window to provide that sample. If they do miss that sample window, they can still provide a breath reading at any time. So they can blow into the device at any time. It will automatically turn on and take that reading from them, but ideally within that 15-minute window. And it will beep and let them know that they are due to provide a sample. Here's an example of a report that someone has done here in the office just for a demonstration. So you can see clearly that there is the photograph there of the client each time they provide the sample. It tells you the date and time that the sample was provided, and all three of these tests are classed as a violation, which is a positive breath reading. So you provide your initial breath reading, and then if you are positive, you are required to do 2 further tests in short succession of one another within a couple of minutes. One, to clarify that the reading is correct, and secondly, to know whether that reading is going up or down. So whether they've drank quite recently or whether they're just metabolizing alcohol from a previous drinking event. But that's what the report would look like when it would come out to you. If there were no positive results, we can still provide all of the photographs should you require. They will all be in the portal as well, and we'll let you know how many readings were taken, if any were missed, so that you know that your client is following the program as they should be. So when might Smart Mobile be the preferred choice as opposed to another testing method such as HER or SCRAM testing? It's ideal, like I said, for clients who are willing to provide samples, who are engaging in the testing program, not necessarily someone who needs to be monitored 24/7. This is for periodic testing, so either daily or every few days where testing is required. We can set it up to do it every hour if that's what you needed, but we would ideally state that a SCRAM would be the better option for that case because it doesn't need that donor engagement so often. They can be used in isolation, SCRAM and Smart Mobile, or they can be used together. They're quite complementary of one another. So for someone who maybe starts the program where they do need to be monitored 24/7, either to ensure that we can see the patterns of someone's drinking, or if they are trying to abstain and become sober. Once they've completed that profile and you are comfortable that the agreement between yourselves was met, you may then get them to naturally progress to Smart Mobile, where it's a little bit more relaxed. They're not being monitored 24/7. The trust is there, but they do still need to actively engage with the Smart Mobile device and provide samples at certain days and times. So hopefully that gave you a bit of background into Smart Mobile. I'll hand back to Andrew now, who will cover the benefits of it. And then if you do have any questions, just pop them in the Q&A function and we'll answer those at the end.
That's great. Thanks, Ashley. So just to summarise for Smart Mobile, the benefits of Smart Mobile. So like with SCRAM, we offer free weekly, fortnightly or monthly court-approved reports. So the frequency is set to how how suits you and your client. It's cost-effective breath alcohol monitoring. So that in terms of the cost, it's very similar structure to what we do with SCRAM. I've seen we've had a couple of inquiries about costs. What I will do is I will send as part of with the recording, we'll send an indication of all the costs involved for either solution, so you've got that information. It's got a camera and the GPS tracking, as Ashley mentioned. 5-day battery life, which is a good amount of time. Internal data storage for up to 250 tests. It's lightweight, it's discreet and easy to use. And it does encourage participant accountability. So like with SCRAM, it's proven to work. Okay, so, and also it's private and convenient for alcohol intake. That was the last bullet point there, I missed that, apologies. Right, just conscious of time, so just going to do a very quick closing poll, and then we'll see if we've got any other questions for us to answer before we finish this morning. So the last poll is just one simple question. I'm just going to launch it now. So based on what you've discovered this morning, how would you best describe yourself right now in terms of your view on alcohol monitoring for legal matters? And you've got 4 choices there. Just give you a couple of moments to answer those. Lots of responses coming in. That's great. Fantastic. I think everyone's just about answered that now. Brilliant. So I'm just going to end the poll. Thank you for that. Just share the results so we can see. So that's really positive. So about 46% would already consider yourselves to be an advocate for it, which is great. Another 50% would sometimes consider it. And then there's 4% of you, just a couple of you, who feel they need to learn more, which totally understand as well. But nobody said they're not convinced, which is really good to hear as well. So thanks for that. Just going to stop sharing the screen again. Okay, so Ashley, we got any questions?
Yeah, there's a few come in. There's just 2 that I'll touch on because I know we're quite tight on time. Someone has asked if the Smart Mobile is approved by the Legal Aid Agency, which it is. You can get Smart Mobile on legal aid. So yes is the answer to that question. Apologies, I didn't cover that in the slide. And a question about Scram: how quickly does intake show through the skin via the Scram bracelet? Can things such as mouthwash taint results? So no, mouthwash wouldn't taint results. Neither would things like cleaning products that contain alcohol if the bracelet is exposed to it. The reason why we can't notify you immediately about a drinking event is it has to go through a process of confirmation. So that's where a team of experts will assess the drinking event, look at how long it took to go through the body, how long it took to metabolize, and rule out things such as your mouthwash, your cleaning products, alcohol-containing products like that. And then once they've confirmed it and they are comfortable that it was an ingestion of alcohol that went through the body and then was metabolized, then we can notify you of the drinking event. So they do know immediately once it's happened. It just takes a little bit of time for them to confirm. Just a couple of hours, nothing major, and then we'll be able to report that back once we get that confirmation within those 24 hours. I think because of time, Andrew, we'll leave it there. But if anyone has any more questions, do put them in and we will answer them in the email that will go out to you.
That's great. Thanks, Ashley. Yeah, so as Ashley says, please do ask as many questions you have in the next couple of minutes. We will make sure that tomorrow, when you get a recording of the webinar, we have answers to all those questions, including, as I mentioned before, an indication of the pricing involved for both solutions. On that note, we are offering a special promotion until the end of the year. It's 10% off either of the solutions. You can request a quote in various ways as per on the screen there, so by giving us a call or by email. Alternatively, you can visit our website alphabiolabs.co.uk and request the Scram or Smart Mobile quotation online. If you just quote the code ALC10 when you do request the quotation, that will ensure that the quotation does include a 10% discount. That will apply as well for as long as you request the quotation before the end of the year. If you then instruct us at any point in January 2023, then we'll obviously honour that 10% discount as well. So you've got quite a bit of time if you want to take us up on that offer. When we do finish in a moment, there will be a very short webinar survey that will appear on your screen. Would really appreciate it if you could spend 30 seconds or so just to complete that. Your feedback is essential really in terms of the future planning of these webinars. So if you could do that, that would be fantastic. Just very briefly, so why choose Alpha? So for any of our testing, we provide sample collection available from any UK address. We also have free collections available from any one of our 11 UK walk-in centres. We always provide user-friendly reports and you have access to dedicated account and case managers. We also have the accreditations from UCAS of ISO 17025 and ISO 9001. So just to finish off, thank you absolutely for your time this morning. Really appreciate it. Thanks to Ashley as well. Please do get in touch with us. We are the experts in legal DNA, drug and alcohol testing. Again, you can see the main methods of how you can contact us on the screen there. We're also on social media. If you're on LinkedIn or Twitter, then please do look us up on there. Give us a follow and we'll give you a follow back. So once again, thank you very much for your time this morning. Hopefully you found that interesting and useful, and I hope you have a great day ahead. Thanks very much. Please do complete the survey. Thank you. Bye.